And away we go. What's up, MMA Maniacs? It is time once again for your weekly MMA show, Split Decision, brought to you from the Ruloff Family Inc. studios. Bueller and Dodge at the mics. A big thanks to Fight Fans Radio Network for still showing us love. Catch us on their Spreaker, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. We have our own Spreaker, Stitcher, and SoundCloud, as well as back on iTunes. Subscribe. What were we last week? Like a really cool new edition or something like that?
No, we're still new and noteworthy. If you open up podcast on iTunes, we're front page.
That's awesome.
I fact checked it too. I was like, no way.
He thought I was bullshit.
You thought it was photoshopped?
Yeah. Anybody can add a logo over somebody else's logo.
I couldn't. I'd be doing it in Microsoft Paint and it would look like shit. So anyway, also, of course, get us on Facebook, which is Split Decision MMA Podcast. And if you want us on Instagram as well as Twitter, SD_MMA. Is Albert still doing that?
Sometimes.
When he can. When he can.
When he's not injured.
He's got a lot going on.
Oh, he's eating.
Burger.
Yeah.
Xbox.
In between burgers and Xbox.
Burger, Xbox.
And you can find Joey on Snapchat now, right?
Fuck that. I'm not doing Snapchat.
How many pictures of balls did you get today when you announced you were on Snapchat?
Just the one that you drew, man. That's it.
You didn't have the balls to take a snapshot of your own balls?
I was at work.
Yeah, like that's ever stopped you, bud.
Dude,
Middle of the lunch rush.
I don't understand it. Yeah, never install Snapchat assuming you're going to get tits right away, because that does not happen. No, you get balls right away. It's absolutely fantastic.
They're tits without nipples.
Those wrinkly, hairy tits, man.
Hey,
mine were shaved.
Knock my women.
All right, so we're going to jump off with some news here, a little recap of The Ultimate Fighter as well. That's pretty much all we have for you this week. And kicking it off.
Ultimate Fight Night, too?
Ultimate Fight Night. That's right, last week. Sorry.
He can act like it didn't happen.
God, I know, right? Like that whole thing didn't happen?
It didn't happen.
Let's start off with, how about Eddie Alvarez is no longer going to be on the pay-per-view for Bellator?
Does this count as we called it?
Yeah, I think it does.
It wasn't Tito's fault.
It's a shocker.
It wasn't Tito's fault.
So far, it's a shocker. No, because it's still...
It's a shocker that it's still happening.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They've now made Rampage and King Mo the main events.
Wasn't that supposed to be a main event like back in October, though?
No, that was Rampage Tito.
I'm going to look up the sales. I don't think they got
the sales are not looking too good as far as I know.
It's not.
Eddie Alvarez basically suffered a concussion in his training camp. He's been pulled from the fight. And
got hit in the head with Tito's head.
This pay-per-view is not going to happen. It's going to have the same thing.
It's on Saturday.
It's tomorrow or 2 days from now?
It's 2 days from now.
It's still not going to happen.
And they're saying it's going to happen.
There's no way. I don't buy it.
I'm definitely not going to buy it.
They're gonna...
Rampage claims, though, that his fight and King Mo's fight is worth the pay-per-view alone, specifically because he says it's one of the few grudge matches going on in MMA right now where we actually don't like each other. Which I call bullshit on, and I think is a bunch of just, please buy our pay-per-view.
Two Hollywood showboats trying to out-showboat each other is what that fight
Please buy our pay-per-view.
Yeah,
otherwise, we're not going to make any money.
The only way that fight could get any more showboaty is if Rashad Evans was in the mix.
As the referee?
Yeah.
That actually might sell more pay-per-views.
And he gets to bring possible. A ladder.
TLC match, dude. TLC match.
I mean, if we look at... There's a whole article going on right now. Non-UFC MMA pay-per-views and versus their buy rates and everything. That anything out of Pride, the highest one they had was only 30,000.
Wow. And what was Affliction?
Affliction had 100,000.
Interesting.
Unfortunately, that was 100,000 less than they thought, and it also folded after the next one because Faber wasn't on it.
Exactly.
Bodog had theirs. They made 13,000. They had 13,000 buys, which is pretty low. World Fighting Alliance didn't even get anything. They were only able to fill a quarter of the seats at the forum. Strike Force, when they had their pay-per-view, was 35,000. World Extreme Fighting. Now, mind you, World Extreme Cage Fighting, which was WC, when the UFC bought it, did 175.
Okay.
Now, at the same time, it was the UFC presents World Series or World Extreme Cage Fighting, all versus Faber. So it kind of blurred the lines there a little bit.
A little bit, but even with the UFC promoting it, it's still far and away from any UFC buys.
Hands down.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you think they're gonna how many buys? Since apparently this is happening. This is going down on Saturday.
How many buys is this going to get? Is Bellator going to get?
I'll give them 30.
I'll give them 25. I'm going to undercut you a little
Undercut
bit.
me?
Yeah.
I'm going to give him 30.
Bid $1, Bob.
Yeah, thanks.
$1.
I'll do 30,000.
What's the lowest bid?
25.
25. 20.
Doing 20.
I'll go 31.
Ooh.
That's what I was going to say.
Son of a bitch.
Let me change
Son
mine.
of a bitch.
Can I change mine to 31, please?
Yeah, I don't know. From what I'm reading, I guess they can't pull out at this point.
Oh.
They can't pull out of a pay-per-view?
Yeah.
How is that not possible? John Jones did that to the UFC.
I don't know.
With 2 days' notice?
No, or Bellator can't pull out of the pay-per-view.
Bellator can't.
Yeah. So no matter what the pay-per-view happens with or without the main event.
Gotcha.
Yeah. There'll be a lot of refunds issued.
Yeah. I mean, you want to look at the card real quick while I have it up?
Yeah.
So we have your main event now is Rampage Jackson going up against King Mo. Michael Chandler is now going to be fighting Will Brooks. So it's not going to be Eddie Alvarez with a concussion. Tito Ortiz
that's
is
got
fighting,
my attention right there. I want Michael Chandler and Will Brooks. That's getting my $20.
Tito Ortiz is fighting Alexander Shlemenko. Michael Page against Ricky Rainey. Alexander Volkov against Blagny Ivanov.
Mm-hmm.
Chet Congo's going to be on this card. Yeah, that's about all I see.
How much are they charging?
It's like $39.95.
Nope. That's nope 95 to me.
Nope, 95.
Nope 95.
I know you can't even get $10 out of us to watch the other fights, which you could get like 2 or 3 weeks of fights to watch,
Right.
and they're going to try to get
The
40
Fight Pass.
for a bunch of guys that they picked up at a bar.
I would actually pay for that.
Oh, they got them at the Fights Wanted at Craigslist, remember?
Yeah, fighters look
Fighters
sticky
seeking
fights.
fights.
I do like Tito Ortiz talking about his upcoming fight, though, for the pay-per-view. He says, you know what? He's like, I still want to fight Rampage, but that's for later. Right now, all I'm doing is I'm thinking Shlemenko, eating Shlemenko, sleeping Shlemenko, shitting Shlemenko. I promise the fans who tune in, I'm going to give them everything I have.
It's really weird they took that as the quote.
Right?
Because of that being the quote at the top of the headline
The
for the
article.
I'm like, I don't know what that is. It's not because I'm shitting Shlemenko doesn't make sense. It doesn't stand alone.
Doesn't just stand alone for you?
It does not stand on its own at all. To say that you're shitting somebody, that you're kidding him?
Yeah.
In context, I guess it makes more sense. But I was like trying to put
Even
other
then,
words
though,
there.
why would... I don't think anybody's ever said that. Eat, sleep,
Stomping?
like breathing, eat, sleep.
I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast.
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast? Speaking of Tito, he apparently had a guy that was living in his house, in a house that he owned.
All right.
Okay. He kicked the dude out because he didn't pay rent. And then the guy stole a bunch of stuff and put it in a storage locker. This other guy comes along and buys the storage locker on an auction and found all this stuff with Tito's. That's Tito's. He found there's 350 prints. There's gloves. There's just tons of memorabilia. There's, autographed pictures. There's fight passes. There's art. There's, all kinds of stuff. Tito Ortiz is upset now, trying to sue the guy.
The guy who bought the locker?
Yeah, the guy who bought the locker because he put it all on Craigslist, and he's like, "You can't do that. You can't do that." It's VHS type. Look at VHS tapes.
But isn't it
banners.
stolen merchandise?
He has to prove that it was stolen.
Did he report that it was stolen? If he didn't report that it was stolen,
No, not until now that this guy's selling it on Craigslist.
Then you can do about
And
it.
he told the guy apparently told Tito, "Hey, look, I bought it for like $8,000. You give me $8,000, you can have all your shit back."
Right.
And he's
Wow.
like, "No." He's like, "No, I'm going to sue you. I'm going to sue you. This is all my stolen property." It's going to be like the whole OJ thing. He's going to get somebody to kill him.
That's what's going to end up. It's going to end up being
I don't
Tito
think
Ortiz.
Tito actually will make it because he's going to crash his car on the way there, but,
What's he going to go sell some of his prescriptions?
He's like,
to make the triple bill?
"What you in for?" "Same thing as you, Jay.
Yeah.
Trying to get my shit back."
It's how do you feel about the whole thing?
How do I feel about that? First off, how vain is Tito to have this much shit of his own in his house where he doesn't even notice if it gets stolen? That means he's got much more of his own shit of him at his house.
In a recent article, interview, he recently just said, "Look, I just want all the pictures of me and my kids back. You can keep everything else." He's like, "There's pictures," and then he's like, "And there's mail. I want the mail that's in there. It's mine."
Bills? Like late rent?
Just says bail. It just says unopened mail.
It's the third notice?
Yeah,
Is that what it is?
I need that, man. I gotta get that.
My electricity got shut off last week.
Well, that opens up a whole nother
Otherwise,
thing.
I don't know my account number. I need that bill.
Maybe it's like some freaky bills.
Oh, yeah, it could be. Penis enlargement.
Blame that on Jenna.
Steroids. Blame that on Jenna, too. Why not?
So, guess what's getting remade?
Why make Kickboxer, man?
They're gonna remake Kickboxer, and who's gonna be the star?
So GSP. He's just done fighting then.
Well, he gets to play Jean-Claude Van Damme, which was his childhood hero, and everyone knows that he pretty much acts and looks like Jean-Claude Van Damme with his accent and his kicks and
Yeah, no, so GSP's just done.
And now he's going to be remaking Kickboxer.
He's going to go the way of the Corona.
Would you rather him remake Bloodsport instead?
Go the way of the Corona.
Yeah, I would rather he remade Bloodsport.
I don't think he can remake Bloodsport, though, because Frank Dukes.
No, you want to see him remake? I want to see him remake Lionheart.
That'd be good.
Leon.
Since technically he was French in that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be down to watch that, since that was like the first.
Which was pretty much the same movie again.
It's a cage fighting movie, first cage fighting movie I ever saw.
Yeah, so you got Lionheart, Kickboxer, and Bloodsport.
I'm down.
They're all pretty much the same, right?
Sign me up. And then put him in a Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah, immediately. As a villain. He's got to be a villain. Right alongside Jason Statham.
A Fast and the Furious, a Triple X, something.
Yeah.
Something.
Gotta get him in there.
Triple X.
A crank. Let's get him in speed.
Triple X.
Why do you want to
there was
see
only
him in
two, right?
You want to see him with the Triple X crank?
Yeah.
Yeah, Frank Dukes is apparently going to have a voice versus with Michael Chavello coming up this Friday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on Access TV.
Oh, God.
And I already watched the first little snippet of it where he says, the UFC was completely revolved around him. Mm-hmm. They kept asking him to compete, but he was unable to do it, so they just took everything that he talked about and made it into the UFC. And he also says that he still is undefeated when he retired, and he was the one who showed Boss Rutten the liver punch and kick.
I like to see him say that to Boss Rutten.
I know. I'm waiting for Boss Rutten to see this interview and then respond.
So he's the Little Richard of MMA.
He is. He was like that guy that we had the picture of before that had all his belts.
He gave all that guy his belts.
Yeah, he gave all that guy his belts. Pretty much, dude. I mean, Frank Dukes is, especially because if you know the origin of UFC, so that means that Frank Dukes actually went down to Brazil.
He says they were doing their little tournaments and challenges before, but
right.
It's all based on him. They asked him to compete, and they asked for all his ideas.
So he's the one who came with the octagon?
No, that's the only thing he credits them for.
Oh, Jesus. Whatever. All right.
It's a culmination of I don't even know how many things.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, man. But Frank Dukes is nuts. The guy's out of his mind.
Yeah, he's wearing sunglasses the whole interview.
Of course he is.
Andre Arlovsky is in the UFC. Tim Sylvia is not in the UFC. We've talked about this before. Tim Sylvia is trying to get into the UFC to fight in the main card in Maine, not as in the main card. He was always going to be on Fight Pass, but we're talking about in Maine, the state.
Why would he want it? Why would he just want to just face his home state like that? Let me come get my ass kicked in my home state, please.
Dana White. I mean, people are saying why cannot he not fight? And he basically says, "Look, Tim Sylvia, he's 0-3-1 in his last 4 fights. It's tough to bring him into the UFC with that kind of record outside the UFC. Unlike Andre Arlovsky, who's 6-1 with his sole loss going up against Anthony Johnson. He's on a win streak. I like him. I have a lot of respect for him and his people. He left the UFC to go fight somewhere else. It's not personal.
Yeah,
this
good.
isn't fucking Bellator though.
Yeah. I'm excited about it. I'd like.
So
to see
instead, he's going to fight an NEF up against Christian Moorcraft, which is also go down in Maine.
All right. That's who Tim Sylvia's fighting?
That's who Tim Sylvia's fighting.
Christian Moorcraft.
Christian Moorcraft, who also was in the UFC at one point.
Yeah, it was for a minute. Blink and he's gone. Oh well. I want to know who Arlovsky's going to fight though. That's what I want. I need to know this.
Remember that we already talked about? He's fighting Brandon Schaub.
Yeah,
it's glass jaw against glass jaw.
That works
for the glass jaw.
But that's not official. Didn't we pick this?
No, that's official.
It's official. Okay.
That's official.
Oh no, we had a couple other picks that we'd much rather.
We were trying to find some other things.
That's right.
Like Frank Mir.
Yeah.
Tim Sylvia.
On we go.
Okay, moving on a little bit to the UFC. We'll move on to that in a second. Let's start here. We'll go with Dan Henderson and Chael Sonnen are both licensed to have TRT while fighting in Nevada, which I think is very strange.
That is very strange.
Very strange.
What?
Wait.
Yep. Both of them have been licensed in the state of Nevada.
I don't understand.
This is bullshit.
It's banned across the board. Now it's allowed again?
No. It's banned across the board, but meaning anybody who was licensed before was going to be banned as well. So if you had already tested positive for something before, you were not going to be able to get a license. These two guys are allowed to have licenses because they were on TRT and not on steroids.
So they're grandfathered in?
Bellator had steroids in Vegas, got busted, cannot have TRT, cannot come in.
I guess I just misunderstood. I thought they were just saying no more TRT, period.
There is no more TRT, period. But I'm saying is they're getting licenses even though they've had TRT. Or Vitor will not be getting a license because he was also on steroids.
So they're not allowed to use TRT.
Right.
Okay, got it.
So
is that now I'm really lost.
So even because they were using something that was legal, they are allowed to fight in Nevada. Vitor Belfort is still not allowed to fight in Nevada because he got busted using something illegal.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay.
Good enough? No?
Yes.
Still confused.
No.
Talking about John Jones, Boss Rutten was recently on
Shut the fuck up. Boss.
his show Inside MMA. They talked about, is John Jones a dirty fighter for shoving his fingers in people's eyes?
No.
Boss Rutten says yes.
Shit.
He says, let me explain. He's like, the guy is a very calm, methodical fighter. He says because of that, he looks like a dirty fighter. He is a dirty fighter. If you are putting your hands out, putting them on the guy's face, you are a dirty fighter.
You're a dirty podcaster.
Now he's going to have pink eyes.
Asshole. You don't think he's dirty for stabbing people in the eyes?
He says, look, you
for
can...
a practice that's done so much, I don't think so. There's a lot of fighters that do the same thing.
Yeah, but he was keeping... Again, the boss's thing is
he's
saying,
got some of the longest arms, bro. Of
why are your
course,
fingers out?
But I'm just saying.
Why are your fingers out?
But there's a lot of fighters that do that.
Yeah, but he's saying he's a dirty fighter because he was slow about it and, like, rubbing his face with his hand. It's not like he was, like, just, sticking his fist there. He was, like, rubbing his face.
I keep thinking of the old Looney Tunes movie where they're like, none of this and none of that.
Right?
None of those and don't do none of this.
So, I mean, he was constantly rubbing him in the face. It's not like you just prodded.
So what I'm getting is you two believe...
You can't put your hand on somebody's head. I mean, that's putting fingers in the face.
That's what I see it as.
If he's putting his fist up there, that's different.
Both Diaz brothers do the same thing.
I don't think they do
No.
that.
Always with the hand. Always with...
Yeah, but you're talking about where they're checking distance.
No, but
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. But he's touching it, dude. Especially Nick. Nick
But
touches
he
their
puts his-
face, and they're like you said, he palms their head a lot.
I don't know about that. He puts his hand out there, but then he quickly switches it to a fist to punch him.
Yeah. Matter of fact, the second that he touches
Or Jones is like constantly just like rubbing the face.
Next week webcam.
Yeah.
That's so much better with the
I have to
webcam.
go wash my face, man.
I agree with Rutten. I don't
know where your hands have been right before you got here.
We've talked about that. I think it's a little dirty. He does need to keep his hands back. Or at least closed.
I mean, you can compare it to like the Diaz brothers and stuff. I understand what you're saying, but I think that Jones is like that times 10.
I'm just saying, if he had pygmy arms, it wouldn't look so bad.
No, because he would never be able to touch his face.
He wouldn't be able to big brother people. He wouldn't be able to big brother people at all.
Little T-Rex arms.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
I'm trying right now. I'm trying.
Stay like that.
According to Quentin Rampage Jackson, Mayhem is going to be making a comeback. He has been helping him train for King Mo. He said his knee is fixed. He's motivated. He's going to make a comeback.
First guy to fight in a straitjacket.
You mean Bellator?
Comeback to MMA. Didn't say UFC. Just making a comeback.
He's never coming back to UFC.
No.
I think it'll be cool if they do that. If all these guys that fall out of the UFC go into Bellator and then fill up the ranks up there, I think it'll be cool.
I mean, that's
as
the
hell.
retirement league we were talking about,
Yeah,
right?
that's
I mean,
pretty much what they're trying to do anyway.
all the fallouts.
Yeah.
You all right with that?
I'm fine. Yeah, whatever. Mayhem Miller comes back. It's like it wasn't exciting. It's just that there's crap outside, the antics outside that kept him from getting back in the cage sucked.
I think if we'd had more footage of more of the antics.
You just want to see him naked in a church.
No, that's probably the least I want to see.
So recently, openly gay football player was drafted in the NFL. This got brought up to the UFC and to a lot of the fighters, saying, do you think that the UFC is ready for an openly gay male fighter? We obviously already have an openly gay female fighter with Liz Carmouche. Do you think an openly gay male fighter would do all right in the sport and be accepted?
I don't know. I don't know.
I want to say there's a double standard, but it's just weird because, I mean, you pretty much figure a female fighter is bi or gay maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you don't want to believe that some dude who's checking your oil is liking it.
It's like it.
You know?
Just because they're gay doesn't mean they like rolling around with every dude in the cage. You know what I mean?
just like
Yeah,
females
because
doing
you're
it.
a man, and God forbid there's women you wouldn't want to roll around with.
There is.
No. You know what I mean? We're talking.
Just because these guys are in shape, in prime shape, then every gay guy wants to fuck them. Is what you're saying.
Maybe. Maybe.
So that's what I think the problem is. It's like these guys who may be against it. I'm not saying who is and who isn't, but these guys who may be against it. It's like no, we're not ready to have an openly gay fighter in the UFC. I don't think that we're ready for it now. So excuse me, I need to go put on my spandex and oil up my legs so I can go roll around with another man for an hour and a half. Pardon me.
Well,
we're not gay. We're already gay.
Unlike the NFL, where a lot of actual NFL players did go on Twitter to get in a little trouble for having negative comments to say. Not a single fighter that was interviewed said anything negative. A lot of them actually, Chuck Liddell says, if he's tough, who cares? If he's a fighter, he's a fighter. As long as he wins, it doesn't matter.
I think the biggest problem here is guys that would be against it would be afraid of getting their ass kicked by a gay fighter.
Exactly. Jose Benavidez says, I think it'd be cool to see a gay guy beat the shit out of somebody. I think that would be much cooler. It's definitely busting a stereotype. We have TJ Dillashaw saying, it's the real world. People just need to accept it. There's probably gay fighters in the UFC right now. They just haven't admitted it publicly yet.
They just check the oil more often.
Mike Brown says, when you're a fighter, you have plenty to worry about already. When you're in the cage with someone trying to get, take your head off, we don't really sweat the small stuff.
You check my oil, just don't knock me out. As long as we have that clear.
So what do you think? Do you think that the UFC is ready for an openly gay fighter or not?
I think I'm with them. I believe that you already have a gay fighter in there.
Oh, I'm sure. Odds are absolutely. If they have a left-handed fighter, they probably got a gay fighter too.
Yeah.
It's like it's just being out and being open to it. Now, if they were to have a gay fighter in the UFC, I'd like to see it like when the WWE had the gay tag team. I want to see it as flamboyant as humanly possible. Like they need to come out to It's Raining Men,
Have you heard Josh Reddick's new walkout song for the A's? He comes out to Careless Whisper by Wham.
Perfect.
Oh no
It's
way!
Awesome.
Perfect. There you go. Never gonna dance again. Guilty feet,
sexy
got
saxophone.
no rhythm. Crazy.
Uriah Faber has another fight booked. This one's going down UFC 175, and the fighter he's going to be fighting is Bruce LeeRoy, Alex Caceres.
Gonna get smashed.
I don't understand this fight. Me and Dennis were talking about this a little bit before the podcast. It does kind of make sense because really, where do both of these guys go? With Uriah Faber, he just lost his title shot up against
Again.
Head and Barao. There's nobody left in the roster as far as that's top contender that he can fight that he hasn't already beaten. He's not going to be fighting TJ Dillashaw. TJ Dillashaw is his training partner and also going up for the title right now. He already beat Mike McDonald. He beat Eddie Wineland. He beat pretty much everybody that's on the list. Alex Caceres, on the other hand, he does need a big name if he's going to make waves. He is technically riding a 4-fight win streak. 5 if you count the no contest that he technically won but then lost because he was smoking pot. None of them have been that exciting. He's got 2 submissions. The other 3 were split decisions. What do you think about this fight?
I guess when you explain it the way you explained it, what are they going to do? I think Faber's going to maul him.
I do too.
But then where does Faber go from there? Can they do since you have a championship belt, can you have a gatekeeper ring?
Yeah.
Can you do that? Like maybe we can have
Give him a smaller
ring.
belt.
Exactly. It's just a leather one with no gold on it.
It's just engraved.
No, it's just arm pads.
It's just
not a belt. It's just arm pads.
That's fine. I don't know. He's the champion's champion, so anytime that the champ can't fight, he has to fight.
There you go.
I have no idea.
A shield. They don't get a belt. They get a shield.
A shield. Yeah, I like
they're
that.
just guarding
the belt.
the belt.
That works, too.
So Mark Hunt and Roy Nelson have both agreed to the Battle of the Bulge. This is going to be the
fun.
fight that's going to be going down in Japan in the UFC.
It's a squash.
Are you excited for that fight? Roy Nelson, Mark Hunt?
Hell yeah.
Who's going out first?
Mark Hunt is getting submitted by Roy Nelson.
Submitted by Roy Nelson.
Yeah. Everybody seems to forget how good Roy Nelson is on the ground.
That's true.
They're gonna swing and swing and swing, and then Mark Hunt's gonna fall over because he's gonna miss, and then Roy Nelson's gonna get him in a Kimura, and it's over.
All right, I like your prediction. It's not too shabby.
It's exactly that way, but a lot slower.
A lot slower. A lot slower. So we had the Ultimate Fight Night card go down last Saturday.
Was it 7 TKOs, 6 TKOs?
There you want to count them?
7 from
3, 4,
from
5,
Fight Pass.
6, 7. Yeah.
Wow, what a night!
It was either a knockout or a decision. Those were your choices.
That's awesome.
Knockout or decision. We had 1 suspension. That was the first fight on the preliminary card on Fox Sports 2 where Johnny Eduardo knocked out Eddie Wineland. I was very sad to see Eddie Wineland go out like that.
I bet you were.
He then took his mouthpiece out, threw it into the crowd, Johnny Eduardo, and they've now fined him 30 days for unsportsmanlike conduct.
Because he gave away his mouthpiece?
Yeah.
It was a souvenir for somebody.
That's what I said.
Yeah, people throw hats.
I said it was better than a hat or an autograph. He's got DNA in that thing, man. Somebody's walking home with Johnny Eduardo's spit in... and his dental record. He could just
in their eye. Someone had a beer
No, I'm
out.
saying, what if the guy caught it and threw it in his mouth?
It was like, me and Johnny Eduardo are brothers now. I was like,
We're Spit Brothers. Yay, I'm going to go make a Johnny Eduardo clone.
I just think that's crazy that that's the first time they've ever given somebody a suspension due to...
and a fine?
And a fine.
Wow,
Well, I mean, not
weird.
like he was going to fight in 30 days anyway.
That's
but
just weird. Whatever.
still, a 30-day suspension due to unsportsmanlike conduct for throwing his mouthpiece into the crowd.
I don't see how that's unsportsmanlike conduct.
I mean, if he would have chucked his water bottle or like the shirt when they're trying to bring in the shirt, he like takes it, he's like, no, and chucks it in. Like, is that unsportsmanlike? Or is it just the mouthpiece?
I'm listening to you say this, like chucks the mouthpiece, and I'm waiting for you to say at the opponent's corner or
right.
at the knockout.
Throws it at
opponent
Eddie
or
Wineland's
something.
face. What?
Yeah, but no, that's pretty lame. So whatever. All right, so moving on from there, you had 3 decisions in a row.
Yeah, well, Joe, you want to start on the Fight Pass? We had Albert Tumanov knocking out Anthony Lapsley.
Oh, shoot.
Justin Salas
and
over
Ben Wall.
Ben Wall.
Man.
Nick Lentz over Manny Gambirian with the decision. Zach Cummings decision over Yann Cabral. Kyoji Horiguchi over Daryl Montague. Ed Herman over Rafael Natal. I fell asleep during that fight.
I'm surprised Ed Herman didn't.
Yeah. I will give Ed Herman credit, though. He is sponsored now by Floby, as you can tell by his hair. I was impressed with that.
Awesome.
Chris Carrasciao gets the split decision over Louis Smolka. I was pretty shocked by that fight. I thought Smolka took the fight
Really?
pretty well.
All right.
What you did not agree?
I came in about halfway through the main card.
Okay. So Pele
I forgot.
Hulk smashed Ruan Potts
Yep.
from the mount
Wow.
and then started singing during his. Does anybody know what he was singing?
I don't know. He kissed the ref, right?
He did kiss the ref. He then started singing. I don't. In his interview, like they asked him a question,
He
he's just like,
he started singing Pompeii.
I don't know what he was
That,
singing.
that popular song on the radio right now.
Is that what it was?
I don't know.
I don't know. I just know that he literally kissed the ref. They go, and can you tell us about the fight? And he's like, this is for the Cincinnati fans. And starts singing. Like,
WKRP in Cincinnati?
maybe that's what it was actually.
I like it.
And then just skip the question. Like Neil Magny over Tim Means unanimous decision.
Really, I almost want to make it a drinking game to where when somebody does actually answer the interview's question, then you have to chug an entire beer.
Yeah, because that rarely happens.
What were you thinking when he got you in this position right here? It looked pretty bad. Well, yeah, I want to thank my mom, God, my sponsors, and of course Joe Rogan. Thanks for being here. Dana White for giving me the shot. After party is at the Hilton. Peace. Cool. All right. Well, that's because we have no idea what he was thinking in this position.
Well, my favorite is, what were you thinking? He's like, oh man, that's a good shot right there. Oh yeah, I punched him right there. I was just thinking, man, look. He's just like watching his own replay, like impressed with his work, but not giving
Oh,
any.
did a damn good
Or
job.
it's like, right there's when I knew I had this motherfucker. Right there.
Darren Cruikshank over Eric Koch, head kicking punches.
Yeah, that was a nice one.
It was pretty nice. Costas Philippou over Lorenz Larkin. That was pretty vicious.
Yeah, that kind of caught me off guard.
And then Matt motherfucking Brown over Eric Silva.
With decidedly the best first round in
Ever.
MMA history.
I don't know. I don't know if ever, but there's quite a bit.
A lot of people are saying it.
A lot of people are saying it, yeah.
How did Silva stay alive?
A lot of people are asking that same question.
How did Matt Brown not get submitted?
Because he's a genius, and he's good on the ground. We know this.
Yeah, I was
He's
just
Matt motherfucking Brown.
man. A couple times he had it cinched in.
Yeah.
And then a couple times
I mean,
Eric
Matt-
Silva's out.
Yeah.
He's fucking out. And I'm like, how is the ref not calling this?
I was just going to call. He's going to call. No, wait. Got to wait for the blood. Got to
Yeah,
wait for the blood.
yeah.
Once he started
and the
bleeding,
whole time this guy's in my head because he's like, no, sometimes these guys got fight in them. That's what they do. They wait
Come on,
till...
kid. You can do
But
it.
Matt Brown literally said, I mean, other than getting kicked in the gut, that definitely hurt Matt
Yeah,
Brown.
Oh, yeah.
what was that? I've been looking. I mean,
Like
He got-
three times he got gut checked.
He
It
got
hurt.
kicked in the liver, and he straight out says, I got kicked in the liver, and it shut me down.
yeah, and
He's
then
like,
he got punched in it once, and then it was
it
almost the
shut him
same
down.
thing.
And he says, you know how I walked through it? He's like, I literally covered up so he wouldn't punch me in the liver, and like was begging him to punch me in the face so that I wouldn't get punched in the liver so I could recover.
Yeah.
He's like, because he hit me good, and I knew he wasn't going to knock me out, so I just begged him to punch me in the face so I wouldn't get kicked in the liver or punched in the liver so I could recover. Once I was recovered, I went back to fighting.
Yeah, because
Like,
the punch one was funny because
Yeah.
he blocked a kick. He was like, ha ha, and he's like, oh, pfft.
yeah.
He's like, oh man, you got me.
But Matt Brown now would like to fight Nick Diaz. I think that's an awesome fight.
Hell yes.
That is an awesome fight, and I think you could pay Matt Brown and Nick Diaz his $500,000 that he wants, or whatever the hell he wants for his.
I don't.
Because didn't Dana White say he's not going to give him a title shot?
Yeah,
yet?
which that sucks for Matt Brown. It sucks
Really
that he's not.
sucks.
I mean, there's nobody else there left, really.
Yeah.
But
Nick Diaz.
he wants to fight Nick Diaz. Let's have him fight Nick Diaz. Well, I don't see why Nick Diaz.
Yeah,
would
if that's
want to
what
fight that fight
he
either.
wants,
That'd be great.
and that's a big name that he's been looking for.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially on a 7-5 win streak. You can't, yeah.
So I'm pretty happy with the overall results of the card.
Yeah,
If
totally.
anybody bet on Matt Brown, you won 2-1. That's pretty awesome.
That really?
Yeah.
I can't believe he was an underdog. That was dumb.
Yeah.
You can't believe it. You said it like 3 times in the interview.
Still can't believe it.
Are you going to remind Forrest that he's retired?
Yes.
Forrest, do you know what your ear looks like?
Satellite dishes. He'll tell you that.
He's like a white Reggie Miller. I don't know.
And I honestly didn't really know that Matt Brown was an underdog in that fight. I just kind of meant like being the underdog all the time.
In life?
Yeah, just in life.
You're an underdog in life, Matt.
Underdog going into the Ultimate Fighter house. Underdog, yes, in general, man.
Now that I think about it, it's really fucked up what he was saying.
Yeah. It's even worse than you thought.
So did you watch The Ultimate Fighter?
Absolutely.
And what'd you think other than, wow, this was filmed in October?
When they brought in the pumpkins.
He brought in the pumpkin, text me, this was filmed in October?
I thought it was filmed earlier this year, man. I really
No,
did.
they're just doing Halloween in January, bro.
I was like,
He is confused like one of those days where you go home, take a nap, you wake up, it's dark, you're like, oh God, I lost a whole day.
yeah. That's kind of what it felt like.
Did I go to work?
I was like, what the hell? It's October when they filmed it? No, it kind of blew me away. And, but aside from the fight being super boring, it was a cool episode.
I'm excited for next episode where Dana White flips out on
Yeah, I've
everybody.
never seen Dana White lose his shit that much, especially at the judges, at the refs, at the athletic commission, at everybody.
Yeah.
If you missed it, I mean, next week is an episode to watch, man. It's serious. Dana White, they obviously edited it up and they spliced it together. But
we're going to see Ian Stevens go up against Roger Zapta. And apparently somebody loses points and somebody else wins because of it.
I see like down. I heard or something about downward elbows.
Yeah.
Dana White leaves the room and he's saying, "Stop the fight, Steve Mazzagatti. I'm out of here." Something to that effect. I mean,
We'll
it was such chaos, but it's going to be an excellent episode to watch. You got to make sure that you tune in. If you haven't been watching The Ultimate Fighter, this might pull you back in. I'm just saying. It was a pretty cool preview. It got me pumped up.
Pretty good. I mean, you got to see the one dude wearing a dress and.
That got me pumped up.
I know you were watching the whole time since then.
There's two fighters in there dressed up like women. You can't go wrong there at all.
One who had the dress pre-packed.
Prepackaged.
Yeah, the other guy had to make his.
Can't you just request them when they go out and pick you up with like lobster? Like, can you also give me a French maid outfit?
Yeah.
Is that cool?
They do that.
Yeah. Because they'll pick you up cigarettes and shoe too, which like I don't even get that. You can't have a phone. No contact with the outside world, but you have cigarettes.
It's like we were talking the other day, man. Nothing makes you smile more than seeing a jogger smoking a cigarette.
All right, so that wraps it up. Quick episode today. Not too bad, not too shabby. So big thanks to Fight Fans Radio Network, of course, Spreaker, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. There's where you can find us. Look up Split Decision MMA Podcast, and you'll find our own Spreaker, Stitcher, and SoundCloud, and iTunes. Subscribe, you won't miss anything. It's easy money right there. Find us on Instagram as well as Twitter, SD_MMA, and Facebook, Split Decision MMA Podcast. So Bueller and Dodge from the Ruloff Family Inc. Studios, signing off, saying have a good night, and we'll see you at the fights.